Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast pregame holiday edition. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brock, the playmaker, BG Britton Golden in the house on a very special edition of PHNX Cardinals presented by our friends at BetMGM. The Arizona Cardinals just 25 minutes away from kickoff in the Windy City. Bo Brock, how we feeling?
We're feeling good. Merry Christmas. A little early to everybody, but maybe they get that dub. Maybe it's Victory Monday Eve instead of Christmas Eve. Arizona Cardinals are celebrating, I guess, their fourth victory of the season. But because of the Washington Commanders, I mean, I don't know. Are they going to rally from behind and maybe make Christmas a little bit better for Cardinals fans? I don't know.
I don't know. It looked very, very bad at the beginning for the Commanders. It looked real bad. I think at one point, Sam Howell has like 0 for 8 with a couple of interceptions. So it didn't look good at the beginning.
You know what? When that game started, I literally was sick to my stomach. And then you have that kind of calmness that comes through you. Like, I'm just going to accept that it's not going to happen. But you said it before the show. It's like, are they coming back to disappoint me yet again? We're going to see. They're getting the ball now down 6. Now, if you don't know, scoring at home, Commanders win today gives the Cardinals a 2-game cushion for that 3rd overall pick entering these final 3 games. So absolutely something to watch. Carolina tied it, although it looks like Green Bay is going to win that game driving down. So a lot of draft implications. Let's focus on the Cardinals game at hand, at least for now. Let's check out, Bo, the inactives today. No real surprises if you've been following the show over the course of the week. Hollywood Brown, he's out. Garrett Williams, he's out. Victor Dumakaji, he's out. I mean, those are some pretty significant losses for the Cardinals, who are attempting to knock off a pretty physical Bears team.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receiver core, I don't think you missed much. You haven't missed Hollywood Brown the last couple of weeks. Somebody still needs to step up in the receiving core. It's good to see that Greg Dortch is going to be able to go with the shoulder injury, see if he can step up, and we can get more, I guess, activity from rookie Michael Wilson. Should be a decent matchup for him. But then Garrett Williams has been playing so well in that slot corner position. I imagine a guy like Andre Sachare is going to get the opportunity over maybe a Marco Wilson because Sachare plays a little bit more safety, and they'll kick JT over into the nickel spot, and Budda will play his usual safety spot. But yeah, Victor Dumakaji, he might be missing out as far as the pass rush rotation. But other than that, you've got 2 newcomers in Tariq Smith, who they signed before last week, and then Travis Vokolek, who they just signed from the practice squad of the Ravens, a giant of a man tight end. But the tight end room, I mean, looks like Blake Whiteheart is up next for the Arizona Cardinals, an undrafted rookie free agent out of Wake Forest. He's going to join the tight end room that is heavily featured in this offense, BG. And Trey McBride and Elijah Higgins, the Higgy Bear. Expect big numbers from those guys.
Oh, for sure. Elijah Higgins has definitely made a push towards the end of the season, especially getting some action, getting some passes thrown to him. And then Trey McBride, you just can't say enough about that. So, I mean, tight end room wise, I think they're good. I do think the Garrett Williams thing is tough because, as you said, he has been playing really well down the stretch, and to not have him in that secondary hurts a little bit. But one of those things we've been talking about all year. You just need the secondary to step up. The next guy up, he's got to be able to handle the pressure.
Let's check out this very generous super chat from our guy Saint Blurry 1999. Merry Christmas Eve, boys. Thank you so much, Saint Blurry. Thank you to everybody crushing it already in the chat. Put a like on this video. We're being live pregame, halftime, and postgame. Nothing misses a beat here on the pregame show, brought to you by our friends at BetMGM. Another super chat here, Libertarian Sasquatch, $1.99. Merry Christmas. Let's get this L, boys. I mean, listen, it's tongue-in-cheek. A lot of people want the Cardinals to continue to struggle and to lose so they can secure Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to tell you right now, Commanders are in Jets territory. Commanders get this done. Everybody here in the chat, everybody watching at home, put your feet up and enjoy this afternoon and root for a Cardinal dub. Because I think a Cardinal dub is coming. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. But first, we're going to get to our keys to the game, the Birdgang Blitz, if you will. Where are we starting today on this Birdgang Blitz? Well, let me tell you. How about fraudulent Justin Fields? I like Justin Fields. He's got an under 40% winning percentage in the NFL. He's 9-29. Yet if you listen to the Chicago media this week, they're making the case Kyler Murray is why you don't pick a quarterback first overall. Keep Justin Fields. Don't take Caleb Williams. Don't take Drake May. I think Jonathan Gannon, Bo, has something special under the tree for Justin Fields. preparing. He was giddy. He was jumping around the facility this week. We saw JG in person. I will be thoroughly disappointed if this, albeit undermined, Cardinal defense cannot make Justin Fields uncomfortable today in Chicago.
Yeah, they got to dial up the pressure. I think that they're going to have a pretty good plan, and most teams have this season. Like we've seen one signature Justin Fields running game. You would hate to see him kind of reverse the clock a little bit and look like the elite running quarterback that he was. And also, it would be a disappointment if he's able to kind of get into rhythm throwing the football. Like we've seen him connect with DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, but we've never seen him just kind of be like target practice out there. We haven't seen him be that rhythm passer that they envision him taking a big leap this season with. And I'd hate to see it happen against Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawls's defense. I think that they're going to be ready for Justin Fields, and it should be similar to the Pittsburgh game, right? Where the defense should have its opportunities to get off the field, whether it's forcing a punt or whether it's forcing a turnover. I mean, Justin Fields has coughed up the football as far as having a little bit of fumbleitis in his career. Maybe scoop some, fall on a football, and get the football back into your offense's hands. And let's see some, pretty drawn out long series from Kyler Murray and crew. I'd love to see it. I think that would be a great recipe, BG.
No, agreed. I mean, pressure is the key with Justin Fields. You got to get pressure back there, whether you get sacks or not. Just make him feel uncomfortable. Because once he gets uncomfortable, first he's looking to run. If that run's not there, if you've got good contain and all that stuff, he's going to let it fly. And when he throws it up, it's up for grabs. And it's just up for the defense to make a play on that ball. So I think the biggest thing defensively, and I'm sure Rollins and JG have been preaching it all week, is just front seven, get pressure, back in, do your job. We'll create turnovers and we can get our offense the ball. And like you said, offensively, just sustaining drives. No 3 and outs, move the ball down the field, hold the ball, run the clock, and you can win this game very easily.
Yeah, I think, listen, this is not a Bears team that scores points in bunches, right? I think like their most productive output of the season were a couple weeks ago against the Detroit Lions.
Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, he's dropping a dime, putting the Washington Commanders on the New York Jets 11 with 6:40 left. Jacoby Brissett deep to Jahan Dobson for 21 yards, and I believe they got a face mask on top.
The Arizona Cardinals, I think, next year. I think he's going to be in Arizona. Drew Petzing's got the call in right now. Help us secure Marvin Harrison Jr., Jacoby. You're going to come here next year, back up Kyler, and you'll throw to Marvin in practice. But I can't, I can see the Cardinals losing this game, but I can see it.
They're knocking on the door. They're at the 2-yard line.
Should we just simulcast? Are we allowed to simulcast now? Push with Big Jacoby. You love to see that. Cardinals potentially having a 2-game lead. Jets can still jet very much in the last 6 minutes of this game. We will keep you posted. We'll also keep you posted on our next topic of discussion here on the Birdgang Blitz. It's the tight end treasure trove. I was talking to somebody before the game, dabbling not only on an anytime touchdown for Trey McBride. How about an anytime touchdown with our friends at BetMGM for Elijah Higgins, the Higgy Bear? We saw him in practice this week, Bo Brock. These are the two featured playmakers for the Arizona Cardinals right now. With all due respect to Rondale Moore and Michael Wilson, I think we're going to get a heavy dose for the second consecutive week. Obviously, Trey Day, hammer all the props, the overs, touchdowns, receiving yards, catches, whatever you want to do. But, man, Higgy Bear, Elijah Higgins, what he was able to do last week, garbage time touchdown, I think he's going to match his productivity for the entire season today. I think he's going to go out there and have 60 to 70 yards. I think they're going to flank him out. You want big physical mismatches, especially in cold weather where guys, BG, you can attest to this. When it gets cold, people don't want to tackle other people. People don't want to tackle bigger people. And I make it difficult on the Chicago Bears as the Commanders now tie the New York Jets, pending the extra point. They were down 27-7, left for dead. Jacoby Brissett and company. Will the Arizona Cardinals have a 2-game lead entering this 3-game stretch? It's a giddy Christmas Eve here on the PHNX.
It's a Christmas miracle with the Washington Commanders. You gotta love it. You gotta
nice
love
defense,
it,
Robert Saleh. A little bit. We talking about Fraud City.
In that game, there's still 5 minutes left.
That's right.
To go wrong.
That's right. No, but I agree with Higgins. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna just completely have his most dominant performance, but and BG could probably speak to this a little bit more than I can. But I think he's the beneficiary of a guy like Trey McBride commanding so much from the opposing defense. And then, of course, if they can establish the run, I mean, I think a second tight end is going to get lost in the coverage there and lost in the defense and find a lot of open space. Am I right by assuming that? And Higgins he seems to be taking advantage of it the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, with all the attention that Trey McBride's going to garner now, like he's emerged as one of the top tight ends in this game right now in a not so great offense. You know what I'm saying? So the attention he's going to get when you can run 2 tight end sets, and then the success James Conner's had on the ground, you know, it forces teams, they can't, you know, they're either going to have to stack the box and play man, or you don't stack the box and allow the run game to go. So yes, it's very easy for that number 2 tight end to obviously get lost in the sauce, essentially running routes. As long as he runs what he's supposed to do and gets open, I mean, he could, like Johnny said, he could have a good 60, 70, 80-yard game. So, which just complements the fact of your backup tight end goes off. Now you can't just sit here and double Trey McBride all day. And now you're looking at man coverage. You got Trey McBride one-on-one. You got Higgins one-on-one, Michael Wilson one-on-one. There's just a whole bunch of one-on-one matchups on the outside that you can take advantage of as an offensive coordinator.
Speaking of scores, should keep you posted here. The Browns comfortably leading the Houston Texans by 14 career days for Amari Cooper and Joe Flacco, helping the Arizona Cardinals. We'll have an updated tracker on our post-game show, but that pick for Houston looking more and more like it's going to be the middle of the first round instead of the end. Thank the football gods as the New York Jets take the field with just under 5 minutes left. The Seattle Seahawks, gentlemen, come back to beat the Titans. You would assume now Seattle very much has everything to play for these final 2 games of the season. They come to Arizona in Glendale. I think it's January 7th. In between there, they have a matchup at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But regardless now, they are over 500, winning 2 consecutive games. That Eagles, they've won 2 games, 20-7, back-to-back in heroic fashion. So again, so much on the line for the Cardinals in terms of draft implications, and the teams they're playing for not going to do them any favors. Speaking of no favors done today, gentlemen, how about the student versus the teacher? It's Eberflus versus JG. Jonathan Gannon goes up against his ex-mentor, who could be fired in about a month's time. Could he join the Cardinal staff? TBD on that. But Jonathan Gannon goes into Chicago, Midwestern kid. I think he'd like a mulligan, Bull Brock, on his Midwestern homecoming that happened earlier this year in Cleveland. I think now you've got Kyler Murray. You've got the superior quarterback in this matchup. You got to come into this game guns a-blazing, ready to tell the world, hey, I'm better than I showed earlier this year when we had to sacrifice Clayton Tune against the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to come out and make things immensely uncomfortable for Justin Fields. And I'm going to show everybody in Chicago, like, I'm the up-and-coming coach. Your coach may be on the outs.
Yeah, I mean, Gannon says it all right. You know, when he was talking about his relationship with Arthur Smith during those 60 minutes, he's the guy on the other sideline. Like, he doesn't get sentimental about it. He's not going to think about how Flus is one of his top mentors in his career. He's going to think about beating his ass. And unfortunately, you know, what could stand to be a big blow to Eberflus remaining there in Chicago. You know, they know the score, they know what this game's about, and they know its results. And both of them are trying to garner some positive results before the end of the 2023 season. So, you know, I think that this is what happens when you hire a big boy coach. Although JG is a first-year head coach, it's similar to, not completely comparable to BA, but he's got deep relationships throughout this league. It seems like each and every week there's somebody on the opposing team that has ties to this organization, and mainly their head coach, Jonathan Gannon, where the previous regime, like Cliff, had no relationships throughout this league. So it's just kind of nice to see that it's on display each and every week, and then that JG is able to kind of put that behind him with the focus on, all right, let's win, and let's utilize our familiarity for positives for the Arizona Cardinals.
Looks like the Jets now at midfield. They converted a 4th and 1 inside, I think, their own 40-yard line with maybe a tush push. So we'll keep you posted.
Trevor Siemian, legacy drive. What do we got going here?
It makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Washington, I know the Lions are first time in 30 years of NFC North champions.
Wow,
they just intercepted them at the end. That's it.
They did get knocked back. They did get a holding call here, so it's going to knock them back 1st and 20 here on the 37, their own 37. So good flag on the field.
We're at the point now where they need yardage, and I think they're out of the point now in this game where they're going to punt. You feel like that's pretty safe, even with 3 timeouts. It feels like the game is going to be decided for the Jets here. Now, it should be noted, despite having a defensive head coach, Washington's defense is abysmal. So we'll see how this game finishes off. But we're going to get to our predictions here momentarily. I'm going to give you some predictions on the betting scene. I'm hot right now. Johnny's hot in his home life with BetMGM. Check him out. You should too. Bonus code PHNX. This is a little sweetener that Damon Dog and company and I were working on. How about a little 450 parlay action? Maybe get a boost to it. Trey McBride over 59.5 receiving yards. Slam it. It might hit in the first half. That's free money. How about this? 16.5 points. Cards score 17 points. Going to do that in their sleep after putting 29 on San Francisco last week. And then here's a sweetener. Rondale Moore was basically wide receiver 1 in practice this week. Now you can dabble it. You can go 14.5 and it's going to knock you, I think, to 250. Or if you think he could break a long one, which we asked Drew Terrell earlier this week, Bo, if Rondale Moore had an option to go deep again this week, and he got a big grin on his face. He looked a little giddy to me. So I'm going to bundle all these 3 legs together. It's the same game parlay plus 450, 3 legs. And again, I could see all of this happening early in this game. There's no money line here. There's no spread. There's no over under that you're going to have to sweat out. This is just plug and play PHNX promo code with BetMGM. Kick your feet up and good to go. Speaking of good to go, 3rd and 20 upcoming for the New York Jets. But what do you think of my parlay, fellas?
That's actually probably one of your better parlays in the season.
Thank you.
I'll give you that one. That one actually has a shot.
Being generous on this Christmas Eve. I like especially the last 2, like the Rondale Moore 24.5. I know that seems like it reached some Sundays, but it feels like it's possible. You're right. I mean, Drew Terrell was like, maybe we might throw him a deep ball, but Rondale's got to come down with it, right? He's like 1 for 2 on those. And then, the 16.5, that could very well be done by halftime. No doubt about it. And the trade number is getting up there, but we're kind of calling it the Justin Fields rush total from a year ago, where it just seems like you can't put it high enough that it's not going to be tantalizing to the bettors out there. See somebody in the chat asking, Too Rare asking, Trey McBride or Raheem Mostert, fantasy football chat. As much as we're high on Trey McBride, Mostert is touchdown.
Mostert's a guaranteed touchdown.
Why not both?
Mostert's going to score.
Johnny, are you in a position to play both? No. Trey's the number 1 fantasy tight end going right now. Mostert's like the MVP of fantasy this year. He's fantastic. I am literally sick to my stomach watching GameCast here. 4th and 20. Jets, Washington Commanders. They have to punt. Commanders now take over. Jets have 3 timeouts. 2 minutes left. Now they have the 2-minute warning there. I think you got to run it just 3 straight times. Make them burn those timeouts. I would be cautious letting Jacoby Brissett throw through the air, but who knows? I mean, we play this up. This is a very significant 2 minutes for the Arizona Cardinals and their fan base for I think the next 10 years. And I'm not overblowing that. You talk about getting a generational player in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Washington potentially giving you a 2-game lead with 3 games remaining. This is very touch and go. You print up the 18 jerseys on our post-game show, regardless of what happens today. I mean, you think about it. If Washington wins this game and the Cardinals lose today, I mean, that to me is Marvin Harrison Jr. a Cardinal. Can we call him a Cardinal after the show today? If he declares, that's going to be up for grabs. Speaking of predictions, it's prediction time here on PHNX Cardinals, presented by BetMGM. Bo and I are on different sides of the 8 ball. I think the Cardinals are going to win. Bo thinks it's going to be a competitive loss. BG, what say you? Is this a game where you could see the Arizona Cardinals coming out and having a similar performance than, say, Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, getting that dub?
I'm not going to go out and say they're going to blow them out. I mean, I felt like the Cardinals were in control of that Pittsburgh game from start to finish. A lot of it's going to depend on how this defense comes out. I mean, I think the Cardinals win this game today. I do. As long as defense performs, I think the Cardinals. I think it'll be competitive, ish. I'm hoping the Cardinals score more than 17. So I'm going to go, 20 to 14. I like that. Maybe a missed extra point by the Cardinals or something, but I like 20 to 14.
It's a tight game. That's a tight game. I'm going to stick with my guns. I mean, as much as I want to be wrong here, I'd love to tell everybody I'm eating crow for Christmas Eve dinner. I'll absolutely do that on behalf of the fan base. But yeah, I think that it's a narrow loss for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't like Christian Ayala here in the chat saying MHJ is a bear. Okay, you want to use him 1-1? Go ahead and take him 1-1. We'll see how that does for the franchise.
Then he's going to go out there and be your franchise receiver with no quarterback. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, we got word from Adam Hogue from CHGO earlier this week that Cardinal fans, if you're rooting for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be available, you want Chicago to have the first pick, not the second pick. And Carolina losing today basically means that Carolina would need to either win out or win one of the next two to have a chance to not have the first overall pick. So I think it's basically a done deal that Chicago is going to end up with the first overall pick. New England could win today at Denver. They certainly could beat the Jets at home in Week 18. So many dominoes falling into place for the Arizona Cardinals. We've got the 2-minute warning. It's 2nd and 11. I'm not sure if Washington, Eric Bieniemy, will dial up something through the air. You would think they're going to keep it relatively conservative, but that's still going to give, Trevor Siemian a good amount of time, Bo Brock, with maybe even a timeout left. I would almost say, let the incompletion be damned. Try to pick up a first down, because if you run the ball here 2 consecutive plays and they use 2 timeouts, they're going to have a timeout plus about 1:45. I mean, that doesn't really help you all that much.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this is where I don't think you can get knocked for trying to be aggressive in picking up the first, given the variables that they have each and every one of their timeouts, because all they had to do was play out the 2-minute warning. Looks like they rushed, and it's 3rd and 11, and they probably will run it one more time, be conservative and punt it away with plenty of time to spare. But it's Trevor Siemian. So, I mean, I hate to see him have that true, they have to punt him and hopefully pin him. It's going to be, hopefully they put Siemian in the Jets offense way back, because all they need is a field goal to win this football game.
I think you have to. You run it, punt it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm taking my chances with my defense against Trevor Siemian than I am, risking a turnover, risking an interception, trying to throw it, or stopping the clock already, and giving them extra time to play with. If I'm the coordinator, I'm saying, listen, we'll take our chances with Siemian.
We will know the fate of the Washington Commanders as well as the first half of the Arizona Cardinals on your immediate Arizona Cardinals Chicago Bear halftime show. Hit that like button, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Cardinal game ready to kick off. We are back following the first 2 quarters of action for Bo Brock, BG, Johnny Venerable here. Pregame show presented by our friends at BetMGM. We'll see you at the half.
We all silly like the mayor.